Mercedes boss Toto Wolff reportedly became embroiled in a furious row with Red Bull's Christian Horner due to a heated meeting of F1 team principals ahead of the Canadian Grand Prix. Wolff has seen the Silver Arrows fall far back from their time as the most fearsome force in the sport, with new regulations seeing them drop down the grid. Instead, it is Red Bull and Ferrari who are battling for wins, with Mercedes' best finish being third so far. Drivers George Russell and Lewis Hamilton have been beset by problems with their car bouncing when going down high-speed straights. It is an issue that has affected most teams on the grid, with some drivers calling for the FIA to step in amid safety concerns. And according to the Mail on Sunday, a meeting between the team principals of all the teams on the grid was held on Saturday, and during it, an argument reportedly erupted over the bouncing problems that Mercedes in particular have faced. The report quotes one witness to the meeting who states that Wolff lost his temper as Horner took issues with his arguments. Ferrari boss Matteo Binotto also reportedly disagreed with Wolff, insisting that the Austrian was only unhappy because Mercedes had got their design wrong. Wolff is said to have insisted that the other teams were deliberately perpetuating a safety problem by sticking to the regulations. Horner fired back at the Mercedes boss, telling him to get his own house in order. The other teams also raised eyebrows about the floor stay that Mercedes ran on their cars during free practice sessions. The stay, which is a metal tube, is used to make the ride smoother, but Mercedes removed it before qualifying as they feared protests from their rivals. The stay is allowed under the technical directive the FIA issues, though the teams have questioned how Mercedes were able to make it so quickly. Wolff has reportedly been left fuming by the lack of support from his rivals, insisting that the bouncing is a clear safety issue that needs to be fixed. This is a sport where you're trying to keep a competitive advantage or gain it, but this situation has gone too far. All drivers, at least one in every team, have said they were in pain after Baku, that they have difficulty keeping the car on track or blurred vision, he said. And the team principals trying to manipulate what is being said in order to keep their competitive advantage and trying to play political games when the FIA tries to come up with a quick solution to at least put the cars in a better position is disingenuous. And that's what I said. I'm not only talking about Mercedes, all of the cars suffered in some way or other in Baku and still do here. The car is too stiff or the car is bouncing, whatever you want to call it. This is a joint problem we are having in F1. It is a design issue that needs to be solved. We will have long-term effects that we can't even judge, and at any time, this is a safety risk. Then coming up with little manipulations in the background or Chinese whispers or briefing a driver is just pitiful. Toto is clearly unhappy with the problems they are facing this season. However, Christian Horner claims that their relationship really hit boiling point last season. Red Bull team principal Christian Horner claims his 2021 rivalry with Mercedes counterpart Toto Wolff was nothing like he has seen in F1. Horner versus Wolff became a major subplot to the Max Verstappen-Lewis Hamilton title battle, which raged up until the final lap of a thrilling season and beyond. Horner revealed his feelings about the extent of the rivalry in an interview in Sunday's Telegraph ahead of the Canadian Grand Prix. To be honest with you, I just tried to stay true to our values, to keep our heads down and do the best job that we could, said Horner. But you could see that it boiled over in the garage next door on a few occasions. That's something I haven't seen against any other competitor. I've raced against Ross Brawn, Stefano Domenicali, Ron Dennis, Flavio Briatore, and I never ever saw that kind of reaction. Mercedes this year has so far failed to challenge at the front, leaving Ferrari to become the main rival to Red Bull for championship glory. Horner claims the Red Bull versus Ferrari rivalry and his relationship with the Scuderia team principal Matteo Binotto is very different. It has been contained to being on track, which is healthy, added Horner. It's the way it should be. Last year, it bubbled over into a lot of off-track politicking and other things in the background. It's a lot less personal now. Horner is the point man for Red Bull from a media perspective, and he says that is all part of the job. He conceded that sometimes what he says is designed to deflect. Sometimes that means I'll position things in such a way to relieve that pressure from them, he remarked. That's what I see my role as being. Horner also expressed sympathy for Formula One race director Michael Massey, whose crucial call paved the way for the controversial finish in Abu Dhabi, which so enraged Wolff and left Verstappen in a position to clinch the title. There's no substitute for experience sometimes, said Horner. Michael was an experienced guy, and he was in a difficult position because there was so much weight on his shoulders. With more support, life could have been a lot easier for him. Following the Canadian Grand Prix, the mood around the Mercedes team was a lot somewhat more positive after a good result by both Lewis Hamilton and George Russell. Lewis Hamilton says he's been given a huge confidence boost after overcoming a tough start to the weekend to finish third in Canada. The 7-time world champion was left venting his frustration after the second practice session as Mercedes' struggles reared their head again, but turned that around to qualify fourth the following day. Hamilton then managed to bring his car home in third in Sunday's race at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve for only his second podium finish of 2022 so far, and his first since the opening round of the year in Bahrain, and cut a much happier figure afterwards than he had 2 days earlier. The women and men back at the factory are working hard weekend in, weekend out, and it's so difficult for us all working and not always seeing progress, Hamilton said. It's been such a difficult year for me personally in terms of the car. Qualifying was emotional for me, and back in the garage we're like, wow, this is beautiful for us. Then to have a strong race just gives me so much hope and confidence going forwards. Hamilton's third place followed him finishing fourth in the previous round in Azerbaijan, and the 37-year-old is noticing incremental increases in the team's understanding of how to get the best out of the troublesome W13. It's quite overwhelming to get this third place. It's been such a battle this year with the car, but we continue to stay vigilant, focused, and never giving up, and that's something I'm proud of. We're getting closer, so we've got to keep pushing, and hopefully we'll eventually be in the fight with these guys. But while he has been given a timely confidence boost ahead of racing on home soil at the British Grand Prix in 2 weeks' time, he cautioned there is still more to be done to ensure the team can find that sweet spot in the setup for Silverstone. There is potential in this car, but it's got a really small working window, and if you don't get it perfect, it's all over the place, and that's a really hard thing to navigate through. But the team did a great job this weekend, Hamilton said. I've had a fourth and third now, so I'm definitely grateful and know I can do more. I've just got to keep working. Hamilton was followed home by his teammate George Russell in fourth, with his fellow British racer maintaining his record of being the only driver to finish in the top 5 in every race so far this year. Team principal Toto Wolff was naturally delighted with the performance of both of his drivers in Canada and believes the team now have an understanding of how to develop the car over the remainder of the season. They were both very good, and they were both on different setups and different rear wing settings, Wolff said. We showed some pace today. The way forward, we just need to develop the car in a different window than we had. We were having it really low on the ground, and clearly that doesn't function. I think we have a development direction. We didn't get it right in many areas, but we own the problem and we need to fix it. Russell, meanwhile, felt Mercedes are still some way off the front runners Red Bull and Ferrari, but was satisfied with both his and the team's results in Montreal. Ultimately, our race pace was closer to Ferrari and Red Bull than we've seen all season, but the inherent performance isn't there yet, Russell said. Nevertheless, P4 is good points for the team, and great to be back on the podium for the team. After a 2-week break, the 2022 season returns for a summer run of European races, starting with the British Grand Prix at Silverstone from July the 1st to the 3rd.